Palermo, the vibrant heart of Sicily. For centuries, it's been a theatre for grand narratives. This legacy of constant change and of triumph and disaster, it's woven into the very fabric of its most beloved institution, Palermo Football Club. A tale of soaring ambition followed by devastating collapse. A cycle of rebirth, of rising from the ashes, and of a raw, unyielding passion that refuses to be extinguished. It's a journey that's seen them go from the top of Italian football to the brink of existence, only to find a new, albeit controversial, source of life. And at the heart of it all is a colour, a profound emotional connection between a team and its people. This is the story of the pink and black, the beautiful, chaotic, and often heartbreaking rise and fall of Palermo. To understand the present, you have to appreciate the past. Palermo was officially founded in 1900, a beacon of modernity in a city steeped in ancient history. The club's initial decades were a slow, steady climb. They worked their way through the divisions, battling against the financial headwinds and structural challenges that have always defined southern Italian football. Their first taste of the big time came in 1932, when they reached Serie A for the first time. They stayed there for 4 years, a brief but thrilling sojourn into the top flight, before the inevitable relegation and financial turbulence struck. This pattern of brief ascent followed by a dramatic fall would become a recurring theme, a familiar rhythm to which every generation of Palermo fans would eventually learn to dance. The 1940s brought further financial troubles and mergers, a common theme in the club's history that hinted at a deeper instability. For the rest of the 20th century, Palermo drifted between the top 2 divisions, but their home was more often than not Serie B or C. They were a mid-tier club, a respectable but rarely spectacular outfit, known more for their resilience than their dominance. But even during this period of relative stability, it wasn't without its moments of profound crises. The 86-87 season was a real low point, a complete financial catastrophe that led to the club's expulsion from the league. For one entire year, the city's heart stood still. No professional football. The stadium lay silent. The beautiful game had abandoned them. But just as the city itself was always rebuilt after every conquest and every natural disaster, so too did the club. They were reborn as a Phoenix club, starting again from the bottom in Serie C2 in 1987. It was a humbling but necessary reset. For over a decade, they remained a fixture of the lower leagues, a team with a passionate fan base and a proud history, but no clear path to the highs they once glimpsed. This was a club caught in a kind of purgatory, and the passionate crowds who filled the stadium deserved more. They deserved a moment of glory that would justify their unwavering loyalty. Then came a man who would change everything. The turn of the new millennium brought a seismic shift in Palermo's fortunes. In the summer of 2002, a flamboyant, ambitious and notoriously volatile businessman named Maurizio Zamparini bought the club. He arrived with a grand promise, a vision that felt audacious to the long-suffering fans. He would bring top-flight football back to Palermo. He wasn't a patient man. Though he didn't achieve his goal in his first season, the wait was short. Within 2 years, the dream had become a reality. In 2004, after 31 years of waiting, Palermo were back in Serie A. What followed was the most sustained and successful period in the club's history. It was a golden age that would burn bright and leave an indelible mark. Palermo didn't just survive, they thrived. In their very first season back in the top flight, they finished in a stunning 6th place, securing qualification for the UEFA Cup. This was no fluke. Zamparini had invested wisely, building a squad of remarkable talent and shrewd signings. The team boasted a young, powerful striker named Luca Toni, who in that single season exploded onto the scene, scoring 20 league goals in 35 appearances, and announcing himself as a force to be reckoned with. Alongside him were defensive stalwarts like Andrea Barzagli and Fabio Grosso, 2 players who, just years later, would be lifting the World Cup trophy for Italy. This was a team that had a backbone of steel and a striker with a killer's instinct. The next 2 seasons continued this incredible run. They finished 5th and 6th, earning a spot in European competition 3 years in a row. The stadium became a fortress, a cauldron of noise and passion where the team's fearless attacking brand of football delighted the home crowd. They reached the last 16 of the UEFA Cup in 2005-06, a sign that they were now a legitimate force in Italy and on the continent. This was a period of stability and success that the club had never known before. But even in this golden era, the seeds of the club's inevitable downfall were being sown. The financial model was a simple one. Find young talent, develop them into stars and sell them for a significant profit. While this kept the club financially afloat and able to compete with the giants of the north, it also meant that their heroes were always just passing through. Luca Toni, the man who'd propelled them to such dizzying heights, was sold after just 2 years. Fabio Grosso, a World Cup winner, was gone a year later. The pipeline of talent, however, was seemingly endless. Over the next few years, a procession of incredible young players arrived, a testament to the club's masterful scouting. Edinson Cavani arrived in 2007, a raw but undeniably gifted striker. He was followed by the likes of Simon Kjaer, Javier Pastore, and Josip Ilicic. Later came Paulo Dybala and Andrea Bellotti. This was a club that had a rare eye for talent, a knack for finding rough diamonds and then polishing them into gems. The most iconic and celebrated of these teams was the 2009-10 squad. This was a team that didn't just have talent, it had stardust. A squad brimming with youthful brilliance and experienced leadership. But the season itself was tumultuous, thrilling, and ultimately heartbreaking. The chaos began even before a ball was kicked. On the 30th of May 2009, hours before the final league game of the previous season, Palermo's head coach, David Ballardini, announced his departure. Volatile chairman Zamparini wasted no time in his search for a replacement. The man he chose was none other than Walter Zenga, the outgoing manager of bitter rivals Catania. The city of Palermo was in shock. This was the same Zenga who'd led their rivals to a stunning 4-0 victory over Palermo in the previous season, a humiliating defeat that still stung the fans. It was a deeply unpopular choice and a move that felt like a slap in the face to a fan base so proud of its identity and so hostile to its rivals. Zamparini, in his typical fashion, dismissed the fans' concerns, declaring that Zenga was the man to fulfill his grandest ambition yet, to take Palermo into the Champions League. The summer was a flurry of activity. Contracts for older players were not renewed, and Zamparini set about bringing in a new wave of talent. The club was linked with a trio of young Argentinians, and Zamparini, ever the showman, announced the signing of Javier Pastore, the player he grandly dubbed the new Kaká. This was a bold and audacious statement. The player's agent denied the move at first, but on the 11th of July, the club officially announced the signing. They also secured midfielder Nicolas Bertolo and Romanian international Dorin Guayan, while key players like goalkeeper Marco Amelia departed. The season began with a kind of chaotic optimism that only Palermo could generate. In his first press conference, Zenga doubled down on Zamparini's ambition, declaring with a straight face that he wanted to guide Palermo to winning the Serie A title. The fans, despite their initial scepticism, watched as the team made their competitive debut, a 4-2 win over Spal in the Coppa Italia. The hope was real, the promise was intoxicating. But the chaos that defied Zamparini's reign was never far away. The team's start to the season was unimpressive. After a 1-1 home draw against their rivals, Catania, a match that was met with massive disappointment from the supporters, Zamparini pulled the trigger. On November the 23rd, Zenga was dismissed. The man who was supposed to lead them to the glory of the Champions League was gone after just a few months. He was replaced by Delio Rossi, a man whose quiet, tactical approach was the antithesis of the public bombast of his predecessor. And this is where the magic truly happened. Under Rossi's tenure, Palermo experienced a transformation. It was a change that went beyond tactics. It was a psychological shift. The players who'd been struggling under the weight of Zenga's grand ambitions found a sense of calm and purpose under their new coach. Rossi, as former fullback Federico Balzaretti would later say, was like a teacher, a father. He explained everything at a tactical level, preparing the team meticulously for every match. And the results were immediate and astonishing. They went on a stunning run, achieving 17 points in Rossi's first 8 games and going 7 consecutive league games without a defeat. This was a team that was now playing with a freedom that almost felt supernatural. They went to the intimidating San Siro and pulled off a shock 2-0 win against AC Milan, a team that featured legends like Ronaldinho and Nesta. They followed that up with a clear 3-0 thumping against UEFA Champions League competitors Fiorentina. This wasn't a team playing for a mid-table finish. This was a team playing for something bigger. The wins continued to pile up. In February, they went to Turin and defeated Juventus 2-0, with goals from Fabrizio Michelai and Igor Budan. It was their 3rd consecutive victory in Turin, testament to their newfound dominance over the traditional Italian giants. This historic victory propelled them into 4th place, the final Champions League spot. The city was in a state of euphoria. The dream, which had felt so far away just months before, was now within their grasp. The atmosphere in the stadium was incredible. Balzaretti recalls the stadium being full 3 hours before the match, a buzz of electric anticipation that you could feel in the air. The team was a perfect blend of experienced Italian players and gifted young South Americans. Michelai, the talismanic captain, scored a career-high 19 goals that season. Cavani, the powerful Uruguayan, contributed 13 of his own. And Pastore, who'd been initially met with scepticism, proved to be the creative spark in midfield. The group was special. It was a bond that went beyond the pitch. But the end of the season was heartbreaking. They lost the Sicilian derby, a bitter 2-0 defeat that stung to the core. 2-2 draw with Cagliari, and a 1-1 draw at home with Sampdoria in the final matches of the season meant they would lose their 4th place spot. In that fateful match against Sampdoria, Captain Michelai suffered a serious knee injury, adding a cruel final blow to a season that had promised so much, but failed to deliver. They finished in a commendable 5th place, but the sting of what could have been lingered. That season in many ways was both the peak and the beginning of the end for Palermo. The club's strategy of buying young and selling high, while financially necessary, was fundamentally unsustainable for building a dynasty. That summer, the great exodus began. Cavani, the powerful striker, made a huge move to Napoli, and Pastore, the creative genius, departed for Paris Saint-Germain. Those sales were a triumph for the club's business model, but they also ripped the heart out of the team. The decline was slow at first and then became more rapid. The 2012-13 season was Palermo's 9th consecutive season in the top flight, and their last of that stint. The revolving door of managers spun faster, and the chaos of Zamparini's reign became more pronounced. And the financial difficulties, a constant spectre, became a full-blown crisis. Relegation in 2013 was a bitter pill to swallow, marking the end of a remarkable 9-year run. A brief return to Serie A in 2014 was a false dawn. The club's finances were a mess, and after more changes in ownership and a failed appeal against relegation, the ultimate blow came in 2019. The club failed to register in time for the Serie B season. The dream was over. The glorious club, the one that had beaten giants and produced legends, was declared bankrupt. Palermo, for a moment, seemed to fade to black. But the story of Palermo, like the story of Sicily itself, is one of resilience. The people, the fans, refused to let the flame die out. The city knew that a new beginning was always possible. From the ashes of the old club, a new one was born. SSD Palermo. They started again in the amateur leagues in Serie D. And the fans? Their passion didn't waver. In their first home game back in the amateur divisions, over 17,000 people packed the stadium for a game against San Tommaso. In Serie D, they set an attendance record for the league. It was a defiant statement, a furious and beautiful refusal to be forgotten. It was a powerful reminder that a football club is not just a business or a corporate entity. It's a community, a shared identity, a powerful cultural force. The climb back was swift. They won promotion from Serie D and then from Serie C. And now they find themselves in Serie B, under new ownership, and a sign that they are once again on the ascent. This new ownership is the City Football Group, the global conglomerate that owns Manchester City and a host of other clubs around the world. And so we return to the present. The sale of Palermo to a global corporate entity, a deal that's brought a sense of stability that the club has craved for years, a sense that the constant financial turmoil might finally be a thing of the past. It's a promise of a return to the top flight and a hope of European nights once more. But with this new beginning comes a new set of fears. The chaotic, fiery and unpredictable soul of Palermo. That unique blend of Sicilian pride and a defiant attitude towards the rest of Italy. Could it be diluted? Will the club become just another cog in a larger machine? The story of Palermo is a microcosm of the city and the island that it represents. A place that's seen great triumphs and devastating defeats. It's a place with a fierce, unyielding identity. A sense of being distinct and separate from the rest of Italy. All of it finds an echo in the story of its football club. The defiant roar of the crowd. It's all a manifestation of a deeper sense of identity. The history of Palermo is a chaotic, beautiful and deeply humane tale. It's a story of a club that, despite all its falls and its financial catastrophes, has always found a way to rise again, propelled by the fierce, unwavering love from its supporters. The question now is not just about the future of the football club, but about the future of its very soul. Can a global corporate entity understand and nurture the unique, untamed spirit of Palermo? Can they bring the success that the fans crave without stripping away the identity that they hold so dear? Only time will tell, but for now, the pink and black of Palermo still sings a story of hope and heartbreak. A story of a city, an island, and a club that will never, ever be forgotten. If you like underdog stories and football with a soul, hit like and subscribe. What are your memories of this Palermo side? Let us know in the comments below. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more football history, one incredible story at a time.